In general, people tend to think of poor people in two categorical different ways. The first is that poor people just don't work hard enough and that they just need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and with that, they will find success. And then the other group of people tend to think that poor people are doing all that they can. It's just that the environment that they're in doesn't have enough opportunities available so they can lift themselves up out of poverty. I don't know when this happened, and I would have to assume it's always been this way, but the notions that people have toward poor people have become so political and so polarized. When in reality, both of these notions are right, yet both of these notions happen to be wrong as well. The reason is, no matter which way you look at it, whether you're a person who thinks that poor people just need to work harder, or you think that the environment needs to be changed so there's more opportunities, both of these concepts are gross oversimplifications of the issue. The reason why I think this tends to happen is because the first level of analysis of any issue is a categorical level of analysis. You either think that the reason something exists or the reason something happens is because of reason A or because of reason B. There's no fluidity between the two reasons. Now, I've noticed that most people can't get past this level of analysis because decisions themselves tend to be in a categorical manner. You either do something or you don't do something. But in reality, and I know this is an overused concept right now, most things fall on a spectrum level of analysis. So by that I mean, you can take the concept that people who are poor just need to work harder and put that on one side of a spectrum. And then you take the concept that people are working as hard as they can, but the environment needs to be changed, and put it on another side of that spectrum. Then if you take every single poor person and put them on this spectrum, not only are you going to find that every single person falls individually in their own spot with their own set of circumstances, you'll realize why it's not as simple as A or B. You might find some people who are working day in and day out, and there's just no opportunities in their area. And you can definitely find people in areas where there's plenty of opportunities. They're just not willing, or they're not currently putting in the work to take advantage of those opportunities. On this channel, you'll notice that I say that you can only directly control what you do as an individual. Now, that's my belief, but because of that, you'll notice even though this channel is a finance channel, I tend to talk about productivity because that's how you actively maximize your chances and output as an individual, which I believe, like I said once, and I'll say it again, will maximize your chances of getting out of poverty. Now, at this time, I want to specifically address what I mean by saying maximize your chances. You can work your butt off day in and day out and still not get out of poverty. That is 100% a reality of some people's situations. And I completely agree that is a failure of not only our nation, but of many nations on the planet. Now, to me, to change your environment, that's something on a higher level, on a societal level. So if you want to address that, that's when voting comes into play, and what you do in your free time to help other individuals come into play. Now, that being said, I specifically think that these two viewpoints, these two notions of how we view poor people, whether they're not working hard enough or that there's not enough opportunities, doesn't help anybody, because those two concepts are diametrically opposed to one another. That's why in today's video, I wanted to talk about specifically looking at poverty and poorness through Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Most people know what this is, but if you don't, here's a quick summary. After observing multiple successful people, the psychologist Abraham Maslow proposed this theory in 1943, explaining that there are 5 stages of human needs that motivate our behavior. Those 5 stages are your physiological needs, then your safety needs, followed by your needs of love and belonging, your needs of esteem, and then lastly, your self-fulfillment needs or your self-actualization needs. Although this is not 100% accurate, it's fair to assume that most people living in poverty tend to deal with the needs on the bottom 2 levels of this pyramid. That is your physiological needs and then your safety needs. People living in poverty are dealing with where their next meal will come from. How are they going to find the money to pay the utility bill that they are behind? Or they're worried about crime in their area. They're dealing with these physiological and safety needs. And after dealing with those, typically that is legitimately enough energy out of your day to where you don't have energy to address other issues. If you are forced to deal with food, water, shelter, and clothing on a day in and day basis, and you don't have that foundationally sound, you objectively don't have enough energy to try to get yourself out of poverty. As somebody who grew up in poverty, I can tell you firsthand, those days can turn into weeks, and those can turn into months, and those can turn into years and lifetimes. That is a concept that most people, unless you're empathetic or you've been through it, that's a concept that most people genuinely don't understand about poverty. Now, if we're looking at poverty through Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that is where people who are in the self-actualization stage come in. In fact, if you're in stages 3, 4, 5, that is where you can go out and actively help people climb out of those bottom 2 stages. Or even if you're in those bottom 2 stages, if you do by some chance have free time, you can help each other climb out of those bottom 2 stages. I'm not saying go around and just give random people money who you think might need it. You might be able to give somebody advice that they can apply to their own specific situation. You can donate your time through your church or your local charity to help people solve those food, water, shelter needs, right? For me, it was starting this YouTube channel and trying to convince people to think in a way that I believe will be beneficial towards them. Now, if you completely disagree with the way I think about poverty and you disagree with this concept of this video, let me know in the comments below. If you agree, let me know. Try to subscribe if you guys are here, if you like this content. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of November. That's a goal I set for myself. So if you want to help me get there, it would be greatly appreciated. Just remember, it may be hard now, but it doesn't always have to be. I'll see you in the next one.